Rise again. Creative light will always rise again. Rise again. Smile again.
The New American Speakers Program is a 10-week fully online program that is focused on enhancing the storytelling and public speaking skills of refugee students. So throughout the course, throughout the 10 weeks, these students come together, share stories, build community among each other, and advocate for refugee storytelling and the power of these stories across all of our communities. This work is just as important now as ever. And we're so grateful to all the students who take the time, take the energy, and take the investment, make the investment in sharing their own stories. We want to give a huge shout out to Weave Tales and to the Refugee Storytellers Collective for their support of this program. The theme of tonight's stories is community strength. And we think that the strength found in community is what's keeping many of us going right now. As you'll see, all of the participant stories tonight are tied to the theme of community strength, and they'll be sharing about how they find strength in their community, and they also contribute to that strength in the community through their stories and through the power of their voice. So we have three exciting speakers tonight, and we also have two keynote speakers who will be sharing their stories with us tonight. I'm so very excited to have them here. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker to kick us off tonight. His name is Dr. Ali Tarok. And Dr. Ali Tarok is a refugee advocate and community leader who arrived in Chicago through the UNHCR program after being banned from higher education in Iran for his peaceful activism. Drawing from his own lived experiences of displacement and resilience, Ali has dedicated his career to advancing immigrant and refugee rights. He currently serves on the New American Advisory Council, appointed by Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, where he works to ensure the voices of refugees and immigrants shape city policies and initiatives. Ali is also a Civic Leader Academy Fellow at the University of Chicago, selected for his leadership in the refugee and immigrant field and his commitment to creating more inclusive, just communities. Ali recently earned his doctoral degree in law and policy from Northeastern University. So super congratulations to Dr. Tarek, where his research is focused on refugee empowerment barriers in Illinois. This work weaves together his personal journey and policy advocacy to champion equity and opportunity for all. And I'm also really happy to say that Ali was a previous student in the New American Speakers Program, and we're so excited to now have him as a keynote speaker with us tonight. So without further ado, I'm so excited to pass it over to Ali.
Thank you, Laura. And hi, everyone. I am Ali Tarok, and very excited to be with you tonight. And yeah, I was in the cohort 6, right? So it was very unique, beautiful experience, and I learned and gained a lot during that program because prior this storytelling training, I knew my stories. Everyone knows their stories, but how to articulate it, how to pass the message, it was a great skills I learned from the my cohort. And also another things I learned from my cohort, that how beautiful we are. We have different stories, and different background, different you know different nationalities, and also our diversity is our beauty and our strength. Mm. So for the my stories for tonight, as all of you know, anybody with lived experience in this country, we have stories for our everyday. Every day we are producing our stories every day. So I've been living here in this country for 12 years, and I started from ESL classes and also entry level position jobs, hard working while it was very different than different from where I was living and what I was doing in my country. And I was. Oh, okay. So I have just a question before I continue. Can you hear me well?
We can hear
Okay,
you.
good.
We're good.
Okay, so yeah, uh, I used to be a political activist in Iran and mobilizing people, working, hard towards democracy and also promoting human rights values and my workplace actually was my people, my society. And when I arrived in my community, actually, and when I arrived in the United States, the first thing I realized that I don't have my community anymore. I don't have that workplace anymore. And I face a severe identity crisis and I didn't know what to do. And I knew I don't want to, switch, my work field. Also, because my work was very tied, it was tied to my identity. Okay. And I knew I don't want to do many things. And also, I want to do many things. And for a while I was confused, and I couldn't see a good future for myself. However, I tried to keep my hope alive. And until until I find out that being a refugee, only being a refugee is my strength. So one day, uh, I back then we were not married, but I was talking to my wife that time. Then I told her, I want to go back to school, get my degree, get my PhD doctoral degree in African American studies. And she said, why? I said, because, uh, you know, I'm a natural born activist. I want to do more. And, I cannot fight for democracy. I cannot for human rights here. But, I see African American issues. Race is a very important topic in this country. I want to learn more about these issues. And she told me, you can go to school, get the degree, but you can be even a good scholar in that field, but you cannot really work or, be a leader in that field because people, African American people, Black people probably would ask you, who are you? Okay, why are you here? Okay, so, and she, it resonated to me. I started thinking about again who I am and what is my strength in this country. Okay, I'm Iranian, arrived here as a refugee, I started from ESL classes, and I'm working for refugees now. And I found that being a refugee is my strength. Okay, and I found a new identity, and I found when I look around myself, I found that all these refugees with different languages, with different culture, with different educational background. All these beautiful people are my community, are my new community. Like I don't need to be only Iranian or go after Iranian, find Iranians. All these refugees, anybody who walked to this country, passed that journey, are part of my community. And I started seeing my world in different way. And I committed myself more to the community to share refugee voices because I see our challenges. I see, okay, what we are facing every day. Later, I found out, okay, this community really needs uh, to share their voice. Okay, needs empowerment. And one of the solution I found out it's a must for our community is education. Okay, and other reason I wanted to continue my education, not only for my personal goals and also to strengthen my community, because this community actually was empowering me to continue more. And another reason for continue your education, because education empowers us. Education give us enough strength to share our voice and go out and advocate for ourselves. And education is one of the only solutions. Okay, we can put it on the table and share with other American fellows that, hey, okay, we are peers. Okay, it's true I speak English with an accent. It's true I'm very new in this country, but my skills, my capability, okay, it's the same as yours, and I'm smart enough. I speak different languages, and and uh, and helps you to not only share your voice and also be heard. Be heard. You know, being a refugee is your strength. Okay, and is your strength, and also your education can empower you to secure your seat at some important tables. Okay, one of the reasons that I was appointed by the Mayor Johnson at the New American Advisory Council, it was not only I'm a refugee, but also I could prove myself by my education that, hey, okay, I arrived here as a refugee. I know my community better. Okay, I'm a representative of my community. When I'm talking about my community, means all refugee and immigrant population. Okay, and also is not only being and live my experience is not only my strength. Also, I'm a subject matter expert in my field. Okay, I'm someone who needs to be seated at that table. Okay, so my my whole goal for sharing these stories is being a refugee is your strength. Okay, being a refugee means you are part of this large community. Okay, and having continued your education, okay, it's a must to take advantage of your strength. Means being a refugee. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali. I love how you inspire us to think about education. And I also really like how you think about your positionality in terms of what kind of activist work or what kind of advocacy work you want to do. Whose stories do you learn from and whose stories do you share? So I really appreciate how you're so thoughtful about that. Thank you so much. Congratulations on graduating as well. We're all so, so proud of you.
And thank you, thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. All right. So without further ado, I will introduce us to our next speaker. 1 second, let me get this pulled up. So our next speaker is a current student in the New American Speakers Program. And I just have to say that every week I get to watch all of the students' stories and give them feedback. And every week I'm amazed at the improvement and the increased confidence that our New American Speakers Program students have as they progress through the program. I also want to give a quick shout out to our illustrator. If you notice my background with all our speakers here today, that's from Ariana Leon Uberti, who's also in our cohort, and she has created the illustrations for tonight. So if you saw the advertisement, you can see the multiple talents of our students. All right, so I'm happy to introduce our second speaker, Anita Omari. Anita is a multilingual professional and a child and women's rights advocate from Afghanistan. Currently pursuing a master's degree in public administration at the University of New Haven, Anita holds a bachelor's in business administration as well. With experience at UNICEF, USAID, and the Danish Refugee Council, she has managed over 200 child protection cases and facilitated job readiness programs. Fluent in English, Dari, Pashto, Arabic, and Urdu, Anita is dedicated to empowering marginalized communities and advocating for refugees' rights. She is committed to advancing the welfare of women and children through her work and studies. So I'm so grateful and happy to introduce you to Anita.
Thank you so much, Laura. Hello, everyone. This is Anita Omari, and thank you so much for all of you that giving me time to speak with you. And at this storytelling night, I'm going to share a part of my story that reflect community strength. Every action has a reaction. We have heard this phrase many times and believe that every action bring about a reaction. But sometimes we forget this belief or it weakens. I grew up in a family with a strong belief in helping others. From a young age, I learned that we must always help those in need. I learned this not just from my parents' words, but more importantly from their action. I witnessed my family spend half of their positions supporting others, and they found deep satisfaction and joy in doing so. I was born in Afghanistan, a country with a rich culture but a weak economy, where poverty is widespread in many regions. For every family with an average income, several other families in the same area live below the poverty line. I remember my father always said, uh, do good and throw it into the sea. The sea will not waste it. Help others, people may forget, but God does not. He will return your goodness in another way. My father never grew tired of helping others. He even helped people who weren't his friends and taught us that wrong cannot be repaid with wrong. You can't wash blood with blood. Whenever we had food at home, a portion would be gifted to neighbors or a relative who were financially struggling. If we had fruit, we shared it. And when we received our salary, we spent a part of salary to help others. I was raised with this belief and upbringing, whether at the school, university, or work. Whenever I saw a need, I tried to help. If a classmate or a coworker didn't have food, I shared mine. If someone couldn't afford bread, I gave them money or bought them a meal. If someone wanted to study, I helped them get educational materials or understand the system. If someone looking for a job, I help them find one. Some girls long for education, but weren't allowed to pursue education by their families. I would talk to them. Talk to them, explain the benefit of studying, and encourage them. My father's word always echoed in my ears. There is peace in making others happy. I work in various offices and institutions, eventually being promoted to higher positions. In every role, I serve others even more and extended help wherever I could. I work with various social groups, widowed women, orphan or families supporting children, elderly heads of household, and people internally displaced due to war. Sometimes when I feel exhausted from all the efforts and service, I would ask my father, why are most people ungrateful? Why don't they appreciate me or overlooking my hard working? What benefit have I received? He would respond, my father, you don't know who may be plotting to harm you behind the scenes. But the prayers of those you help protect you from your enemies. God shields you from harm in return for your good deeds. Your daily success is the result of your kind heart and good action. Isn't that itself a reward? My father said, life is always changing. One day, a king become a beggar, and another day, a beggar become a king. Tough times may come, and your kindnesses make them easier. When I came to the United States in 2023, I left my whole life behind and began a new path, one filled with challenges and difficulties. I didn't know where to start and long for someone to accompany me, though I didn't believe that such support was possible. During a medical appointment, I met with Dee Smith, a nurse at a woman health center. She learned I had just arrived in the United States and was facing with many challenges. She would always check in on me, and if I didn't respond, she would worry that maybe something had happened. She wanted to know what I was struggling with so she could help. Sometimes even I didn't know what I needed yet. Dee and her husband, Sam, were always there for me throughout my new journey. After meeting them, I never felt alone. They played a major role in helping me find a job, learn to drive, get my driver license, and continue my education, which are a huge challenges for a migrant. When I got sick, they cared for me at the hospital. Despite having many responsibilities of their own, they managed everything for me. Whenever I spoke about all this with my husband would ask, why do they care so much about us? Why do they love us this much? And I would always reply, because humanity is still alive. We didn't share the same religion, language, or culture, but we were human. And that was a big enough reason. One day while I'm talking with Dee, I said, in Afghanistan, I helped so many people, and now I am the one in need of help. Suddenly, my father's word come to my mind that life is never constant. It is always changing. And I remember exactly when I was telling my father about having a friend like Dee and all her kindnesses and love. I said, Father, I don't know why she's so kind and loving. My father said, having a friend and a sincere human in life is the most valuable asset of a person. What you have today is the reward for the efforts you made in Afghanistan. God never forget the good deeds of his servant. This is the full answer to all the good deeds and kindnesses you have done for others. And today it has returned to you. So as we reflect on the power of community tonight, let us remember that every small act of kindness is a strength that ties that hold us together. We may come from different places, speak different languages, and follow different paths, but the heart of a strong community is built on compassion, support, and shared humanity. Let us all be the Dee or the Sam in someone else's story, because we never know when we too will need someone to believe in us. Thank you so much for listening me.
So beautiful, Anita. And I think those messages from you and your father are things we really need right now, that every act of kindness is something that can connect us to somebody else. I think we all need that inspiration right now. So thank you so much. I just love sitting with some of the words before we move on to somebody else. There's just so much that you're offering us to reflect on. So I hope everybody's taking time to reflect and really sit with these words. Think of questions or feedback you want to give, and feel free to post in the chat. All right. Without further ado, I have the next student who I'm super happy to introduce, another student in our wonderful New American Speakers course. Again, this is the 8th cohort of this class. And just to give you, everybody who's in attendance, some context, when students graduate from the New American Speakers program, they get added to the Refugee Storytellers Collective, which means that they have been trained and are prepared to give speeches, to share their stories, to be welcomed as keynote speakers or as speakers on refugee issues in many different capacities. So if you are looking for an event and you're looking for a speaker, the Refugee Storytellers Collective has full of incredible expertise, including our recent graduates. So I'd love to introduce Yasin Arfat, our next speaker, a Rohingya from Myanmar who has a life shaped by resilience and advocacy. Born into a community facing genocide, discrimination, and systemic deprivation, he was forced to flee Myanmar in 2017 when a brutal military crackdown threatened the lives of the Rohingya people. Seeking safety, Yahin and his family found refuge in the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh, where he spent 5 years navigating the challenges of displacement. Driven by a deep commitment to his community, Yasin dedicated himself to humanitarian work, volunteering with local and international organizations to support fellow refugees. In 2022, he was resettled in the US and now calls Chicago home. I feel like we have several Chicagoans and Illinois people here tonight. Shout out to you. He currently serves as a senior case manager at Heartland Human Care Services, where he works tirelessly to support resettled refugees and immigrants. Yasin is also pursuing a degree in Human Resource Services at Harry S. Truman College, further equipping himself to continue his advocacy and service. His journey is a testament to resilience, hope, and the power of giving back.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Dr. Lara, for the floor, and I'm really excited to join you all today. Thanks to the panelists and the participants that joined here from different background and from different city and from different world, I guess. So thank you so much for joining. My name is Yasin Arfat, and I'm a Rohingya myself. I'm from Burma, Myanmar, and I will go with my own history. I'm a Rohingya. I don't know whether you have heard about Rohingya or not. Rohingya are the most persecuted minorities in the world. And when I was in Burma, and I did not have the rights that I should have as a human being. And I saw a lot of people from my community that had to navigate a lot of challenges being born in Burma. And I saw a lot of people from my community that face genocide and injustice perpetuated by Burmese military. In 2017, a huge crackdown happened in Arkan State in Myanmar against Rohingya people by the Burmese military, and we were under the pressure, and we had to face a lot of genocide by the Burmese military, and that forced nearly 1 million Rohingya to flee Myanmar to seek safety, and nearly 1.4 million Rohingyas took place in Bangladesh, which is known as the world's largest refugee camp now. So I fled to Bangladesh to escape persecution in 2017, and I took place in the world largest refugee camp, and I was in the refugee camp for nearly 6 years. When I was in refugee camp, I saw a lot of people from my community. They were facing different kind of difficulties and hardship and different kind of hardship. So the community strength that I think is holding on to who we are and holding the identity that we ethnically belong. As a refugee, I think people think that we are broken and they don't see the way we have to be seen. So people don't recognize how we raise and how we work hard for the dream that we as a refugee have. When I was in the refugee camp, I did not have any opportunities to study and to gain something that I had hope actually to learn a lot and to study, to go to a school and to work with different organizations, but there was not that much opportunity and resources to make my dream come true. But I did not give up myself, and I hold on to the hope that I had when I was even a refugee camp, living in the refugee camp. There were some organizations in the camp that help refugees to survive, and I dedicated myself in humanitarian field, working with those organizations to support my fellow Rohingya in the refugee camp. And I saw a lot of elderly people in my community. They had a hope to go back, even living under the uncertainty in the refugee camp. And that hope didn't come through. But when I heard from many elderly people that they have a hope to return home and to rebuild their life, and I raise my voice, and I amplify my voice on behalf of my community to bring changes in the community. And I raise my voice on the global scale, and in different platform, and I share my voices with different organizations to bring changes in the life of refugees. But yet, the dream that the elderly people and all the Rohingya refugees have returning home has not come true, unfortunately. When I was in refugee camp, I had to face a lot of difficulties in adequate shelter and lack of food to survive. So there is an organization called WFP, World Food Program, and that organization provided a ration, and I thank to that organization. This is how I survived in the camp. And in 2022, I had an incredible opportunity to resettle in the United States of America. And now I call home. Now I call Chicago home, and this is a great city. I'm really happy to be here. I work for refugee resettlement, and here is my wonderful colleague, Emayaka. He is my colleague, and I'm glad to see him even in his vacation. I work for refugees, resettled refugees in Chicago, and after coming here, I saw a lot of people that doesn't know how to communicate and how to cope with the people and with the things that are happening here, as it is a new country. So I began to dedicate even dedicate myself, helping them navigate these challenges that they are meeting day by day, because I love to help people. I was a refugee, and I belong to one of the most marginalized community in the world. So I grew up facing challenges, and I grew up knowing people. I grew up, knowing. I grew up facing injustice. So I don't want to see my community facing challenges even here in the United States. So now I'm helping my communities and even refugees from different countries navigating the challenges that they are meeting day by day. Thank you so much for your opportunity. I hope I'm done with the time that I was supposed to have. So I'm here until the end of the meeting. And if you have any questions or any cross question or anything that you want to know about refugee or about myself, I'm always here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Yassine, for that speech. I think when we get to the Q&A, I would love to learn more as well about the Rohingya people. And one of the things that really stood out to me is that you said we might be safe, but we don't have what we want, which is to go home and be able to go home. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have about refugees, that you're in the United States because you don't want to be at home anymore. Where in actuality, it's not safe for you to be back home. And a lot of times, a lot of people would love the opportunity to return home and return to our roots. So thank you for clarifying that and for sharing your amazing story. Okay. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our next keynote speaker for the evening, someone that many of us, including me, admire very much. So we're very grateful to have Emayaka with us here today as our second keynote speaker. Emayaka is a Refugee Congress delegate for Illinois, so another Illinois person on the call. He's originally from Uganda and spent 3 years in Nairobi, Kenya, awaiting resettlement before coming to the US in 2017. Emma has significant experience in the healthcare field. While in Kenya, he served as a community health navigator, a medical interpreter, a paralegal aide, and human rights defender, peer educator of infectious diseases in the LGBTQIA+ community, and as a focal point advocate for LGBTQIA+ people. In the US, he began working in environmental services at a hospital, but after just 6 months, he advanced to the role of a pathology lab assistant. 1 year later, he accepted the position of medical case manager / preferred community for Heartland Alliance Human Care Services. And after 3 years with Heartland, Emma was promoted to supervisor for long-term case manager, serving refugees and immigrants for 6 months of their arrival to 5 years. And this is where he continues to thrive in his career today. So we're so excited to hear from Emma and all your background and experience.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I can be heard clearly.
Yes,
Am I heard?
we can hear you.
Thank you very much. I do welcome everyone, more so the students. I was once a student, so I'm so excited to be part of this journey of learning how to become a New American Speakers program. I'm Emma Yaka, and I was born and raised from Uganda, currently living in Chicago, Illinois. I left my country due to persecution and went to nearby country, Kenya, for temporary protection. Luckily enough, UNHCR, or United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, gave me a second chance of safety. Currently, I'm working as a supervisor for long-term case management at Heartland Human Care Services, as well as delegate at Refugee Congress, in addition to being a U.S. Refugee Advisory Board member. Today, I want to share something powerful with you all, something often overlooked, yet profoundly inspiring: the strength found within the community of refugees. Refugees are not defined by the borders they cross, nor by the circumstances that forced us to flee. We are defined by our courage and resilience, and above all, the capacity to rebuild the community, often from nothing. And when we come together as community, something often more powerful happens. We become a force of support, healing, and hope. I think you all know we live the life of hope. In refugee communities around the world, you will see we share food when we barely have enough for ourselves. You will see strangers becoming family simply because we recognize each other's pain. You will see skills being passed from hand to hand, and dreams being rebuilt in classrooms, kitchen, languages, smaller businesses, resilience, or resettlement organizations, and games, as we all know, where we meet together as refugees. The places that brings us together, we always make that as home, and we make us that the home of peace. The refugee community is a community of survivors. We are, but it is also a community of builders, teachers, artists, professions, entrepreneurs, as some of my colleagues have said before, of the people who know what it means to lose everything and still find the strength to stand back up again. It isn't easy. The world often focuses on what refugees need. As you know, when you hear news everywhere, we are being told, or the world is being told, that we are always looking for help. But let us not forget what we also give. We bring strength to the places where we arrive in. We bring stories that remind us of our shared humanity. And we also bring an unbreakable sense of community, one rooted in empathy, perseverance, and hope. So today, let us celebrate that strength. Let us recognize the power of our community that lifts each other, even in the darkest time. And let us work to build a world where that strength is not just acknowledged, but impressed. My community strength is trust. I trust whoever offered me support. I was open-minded to learn and adjust by rendering back the energy of trying new things through volunteer programs, trainings like the New American Speakers Program, which I was once a student, and I learned a lot. I acquired a lot. I've used the skills that I acquired here to stand out and win a lot of community battles when it comes to advocacy. Through this program, I want to let everyone know that I was once a good speaker after this program, and I was given a new brand car after speaking out in the public. So this program and our voices, our stories can still bring happiness sometimes. Thank you very much for listening. Hope to answer questions if comes up. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Emma. We're so grateful for your wisdom, and I think it's very needed right now, to just remember that we build homes of peace in the places we come together. I love that. I feel like it should be a t-shirt on a poster or something, or a saying on a poster or a t-shirt, because yeah, we need to remember that we do build spaces of community outside of our homes. So thank you so much for that. All right, y'all, we have one speaker left. And after that, we will go into a Q&A. I'm so excited to introduce us to our next speaker. I will embarrass her maybe a little bit and say that when we first started sharing, Pane was very shy to share anything. She was, just feeling shy to share. And then she would say something like, "Can I just share with you a little bit?" And she would share a little bit of her story. And it was always so moving and powerful. And just so much of her creativity always shined through her stories. So the fact that she's getting up and sharing with us today, it makes me super proud and it makes me super grateful to you, Pane, for taking the courage to share with us. I know it hasn't been easy to prepare, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to share. So, Pane Lalo was born in Burma, and because of the Civil War, her parents took her family to a Thai My La refugee camp. Pani lived in the refugee camp for over 15 years until she found opportunities open through the UN sponsor process. Pani applied for this opportunity alone. So she went through the process by herself because at the time her family wasn't interested in this process. She came to the United States by herself at the age of 19 on February 6, 2009, landing in Utah in Salt Lake City. Currently, Pane is finishing her associate's degree at Salt Lake Community College, where she's majoring in business management. And I'm so proud to say that she received 3 scholarships for her education and is maintaining a 4.0 GPA. So congratulations, Pane. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you everyone for your present time and then to be here with us. Yeah, my name is Pane. Today I want to share the little piece of my journey. It's not just about challenges that I've been through, and I also want to share some things like found the strength in people around me. I hope it's help people that who are background in refugee or immigrants to know that we are never alone if we have a community. As you know, I was born in Burma, and I fleeing the country when I was 3 years old to the Civil War, and I have lived in a refugee camp for 15 years of my childhood life. Living in a camp is not that easy. It's really hard and complicated. But we are we are carry each other, we care about each other, we share food, we share everything to each other. But something the most important to me is we share story. We listen to each other. The story is powerful for me as a community. I remember as a child, we just sit in the firework like surrounding, and then we would share a story like, what do you want to be in the future? What is your future dream to be? And mostly a lot of kids will be talk about what do they want to be, but I know it's just their imagination of what they want to be. And that mostly adult people will always tell us about how their journey to leave their country, they leave their hometown, and then came to Thailand, refugee get to resettle for their life, and they will tell us about a long way to walk, and it is really danger and scare, but we just listen. And also they told us one of the story that I remember, one of the lady was telling us a girl from a village that who were like our age that time, it's like 15, 16. She Eddie sacrificed her life for her people because she want her people to have a like to sacrifice her life so that her people can have a culture, like a beautiful culture to be exit. That's what something that stand out for me is like our community is very strong. Even the war, we see our community as a powerless, but in some case we as a refugee people, we come together and we are putting ourselves together to be strong in that situation, so that we are not feel hopeless for in our future. And then in that moment, something that taught me is like, something that clicked in my mind is like, I want to decided to move to a different country. I want to do something more better for my community. When I look back then, I was only, around 18, 19. It's really hard to apply a lot by yourself, to wait for year 8, like 18. But I just planned out too early, like instability. They didn't allow me. For the first time, they denied it. And then the second time when I was 18, they accept me to apply, and then I got approved. But before then, it was really hard to get through the process. That I have to be like in the process, either the application and then the medical check and a few months of the basic English learning, because it's really hard when you get in the, like trust for yourself, country to country is really hard, but language. And then something that I feel in that moment is like when thing is getting slowly to get done when you want to do or when you want to go. And then I feel like I lost hope, and I just slowly try to hide my disappointment. Or I don't want to show nobody, because I feel like nothing is gonna be happy for my dream and my future, what I want to be. But in that moment, I remember one evening, my dad will come to me and told me, it's like, sometimes waiting is a part of journey, even though you always have to know that you need to have a hope, and you also know that you are never walking alone in that situation. And that moment is then to me that his choir support me, believe in myself, that my dream is still alive. And then finally, I just arrived in the United States. It's really hard. Everything is new. The culture, the food, the language. I feel like alone being here. like without no communities. And I feel like no one else is gonna help me and be my backup. And then I started to cry a lot because think about it, when you were alone without your no family. But something that it helped me little by little. I just go to school, find new friend, and your teacher is willing to listen to you, even though you don't have a fluent English in that time. I have to start it in basic English, and also your classmate, and you feel like, oh, they are the same. They came from, the same background as you. They are refugee as you, but we both listening to each other and help each other by doing our assignment. And also, sometimes when you walk by people there who look at your face and give you a smile, a big smile that without knowing your name, it make you feel hope. That is a small thing, but to me, it's really big one. It make you feel like welcoming you to their country, and even though you are not feel in that place. And also one night, and I remember the two couple came and visit me, was telling me that wherever you are more stronger than who you think you are, and feel home for you. And they started welcome me, and they started adopt me in that position, and they help me everywhere, transportation, education, and they will support me everything I want to do. But the only thing they take very good care of me is when I feel sick, and they will start complaining about I eat too much rice. Too much rice. You eat too much rice. You don't need to eat that anymore. Just leave it, because you need to be more healthy when you were in this country. You're gonna have to study harder. You're gonna have to take good care of yourself harder. But it's not in negative way, in a good way. We should be. That's the strength of community. Carry each other health and give each other encourage to do better. What do we have to do next? And I started like, as you know, see, I came when I were started everything in the basis, and I also started school in the basis till I graduate high school, and then I joined a college. And after college, while in college and after college, I feel like, okay, I should do something better. No, I cannot go back to my country, help my community, but at least I can help any on the community here, not only go back to your country help, but you can do something here. So I stand up and I started express myself and explore more with the community. I work in a Woman on the War. This is the part of a woman group as a ambassador and also a mentor. And I feel so much peace, and I feel like, okay, I finally found my own community now. And I also want to say that even though when you are a refugee and you feel like you are nothing or you feel less, but remember, someone is always there to support you, and someone is always there for you. And then I just want to encourage to everyone there who came from refugee or immigrants background who are listening. Please remember this: you are never alone, and that even though you were in a new place, or even though you are still trying to figure out things, there is someone who care about you. And also, if someone do something good to you, you also can do something to other people. And just like someone is helping me, and now I help the other too. And as we know, we came in a different place, a different background, and we carry different story. But when we come together, we create a strength community and never broken.
Thank you.
That is, thank you.
That was excellent, and such a great and beautiful way to close out the storytelling night and lead us into our discussion. I think I want to welcome everybody back who shared a story, and I'll go ahead and spotlight everybody if you're able to turn on your camera, and we can maybe just start a discussion. If anybody wants to add a question in the chat, you're welcome to. We can also ask questions of each other as panelists. I'll go ahead and add people here so we get on the screen. But yeah, we're open to any questions. One thing that Panay said that really stuck out to me was that when we lose all hope, something happens to bring that hope back. Something happens to keep us going. And I wondered if anybody has something that they want to share about what's keeping you going right now. There's a lot of hopelessness. There's a lot of conversation about what are we going to do? Everything seems so hopeless. What is one thing that has brought the hope back to you, or that keeps bringing the hope back to you when it's difficult? I don't know if anybody wants to answer.
I think when you are alone and when you lose your hope and disappointed from something, in the same time, when you hear from others, especially from the people that they gone through the same situation, it gives you hope again. When they shared that they spend the same time that you are in right now. So it motivated you, it gave you hope that this time also will be changed and I will get a better future.
Great. Somebody else asked in the chat, you can respond to any of these, but somebody else asked in the chat, Ariana asked, what was one thing that made you think, okay, this is not as bad as I thought. I can call this country my home too. Do you have a memory or something that made you feel like you could do it? And any of our panelists, if you want to unmute, anybody who's here, you're able to unmute and talk. So if anybody wants to answer that, what made you feel like, okay, I can make this country my home?
Mhm. Hi,
Yes.
I'll go with it. Before I got resettled in the United States in Chicago, I was thinking a lot of things like how the United States look like and how the people look like and what their culture and tradition would be. I don't know whether I can cope with all those things or not. Like I was thinking a lot of things when I was in the refugee camp, and I even didn't know that I have such a big community in Chicago from my country. I even didn't know about that. When I came in the United States, this was not my first city. My first city was Oklahoma, where there was no one from Burma, especially from a community. So I was searching on Google, where mostly Rohingya lives in the United States, and I found Chicago. So I decided to move here, and this is just a great city. So I was thinking like, what should I do when I will be in the United States? Will I meet people from my country? Like I was thinking a lot of things, and I was even worried and frustrated, like to survive here. So when I first got in Chicago, I met with a lot of Rohingya people from my country, and I met a lot of people in the same day when I landed in Chicago, and this made me feel really great and hopeful. So, and I also saw a lot of things that has been established by our community leaders here. So I engaged with them, and this is what made me hopeful to continue with my community. And I also saw a lot of vulnerable people and a lot of people that they are having issues and problems moving forward. So as a youth activist from my community, from a marginalized community, what I decided was to work and actively engage with my community and to help them survive, to help them thrive, and to find resources and to bring resources within the community. So this is what made me hopeful, seeing the vulnerable people and seeing the people who establish and implement something within the community. And now a lot of people, and I'm the reason of a lot of success and a lot of things that get out of problems. So now it is such a privilege for me to be a person like who get called from the people when they have problems.
Thank you, Yasin, so much. Emma, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think one thing that made me feel okay is neighborhood. Neighborhoods making the environment more welcoming. Actually, my first time coming to Chicago, I had the movies in my brain, the things that I saw in the films. I was translating them into real life. I didn't know that these are movies. So when I arrived and they gave me, they told me, here is the number 911. You call police. I said, what? I'm running out from police now. They're telling me to call police. I felt like now this is not going to work for me. But actually, neighborhoods that I was, based with, they supported me so much to make me understand that police are here to help you, not to destroy your life, make you feel uncomfortable. And actually, when I was walking towards the beach around my area, one of the police officers waved at me, and I felt like, okay, I'm so happy, I'm so excited that the law enforcement can still be friendly to civilians, not like where I come from. So I felt so excited and felt like neighborhood was one of the thing that made me feel much comfortable and okay to call it home.
Thank you so much. Anybody else have questions for our panelists? You can unmute and ask if you want. You can make a comment. You can put in the chat. Anybody else, some comment or question? Great. Well, I think everybody did such a fantastic job. It's really nice to come together in these times and reflect on what keeps us strong, what keeps us here, what keeps us going. So I just want to again say thank you so much to our keynote speakers, our panelists, and everybody who attended. And also remind you that we have a second storytelling night. So this is half of our class. The other half of our class will be sharing their stories on May 15th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll be back together again to hear from the rest of our students and congratulate them all for graduating from the New American Speakers Program. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your evening and thank you for making the time. I know that time is limited right now and I'm so glad that you all are here. So take care and have a good evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.